Hello everyone. We are getting started today with some more geometry. We've been working with triangles and figuring out different ways to identify those triangles by the angles that they have, naming them by the angles they have, and also naming them by the lengths of their sides. And today we're going to do something similar with our four-sided shapes or our quadrilaterals. We're going to look at all the different ways we can name a four-sided figure. And that shape has to follow very specific rules in order to have a specific name. So we're going to break that down to see what the different names are for different four-sided shapes. So let's start with the first quadrilateral at the top of our flowchart. And this is any polygon with four sides. If it has four sides, we can call that a quadrilateral. So any four-sided figure is also known as a quadrilateral. It does need to be a closed four-sided figure, and the sides do need to be straight. Those are the basic rules for a polygon, but as long as it is follows those two rules, being closed and has four straight sides, it's a quadrilateral. So we're going to now break our quadrilaterals into different groups or different categories based on their characteristics. So we have one quadrilateral that really isn't related to any other kind of quadrilateral in our flowchart. And that's this blue quadrilateral over here. This is a quadrilateral with exactly one pair of parallel sides. So this is a quadrilateral that is only going to have one set of sides that are parallel to each other. The other sides are going to be not parallel, or they will be lines that if you extended them out beyond the shape, they would eventually cross. So we call this quadrilateral a trapezoid. So this quadrilateral has only one set of parallel sides. Now, interestingly, this is a traditional trapezoid that we see here, but a trapezoid can also look where only one side is actually slanted. So forgive my drawing not being super accurate, but this would also be considered a quadrilateral because this side and this side are still parallel while the other two sides are not. But in this case, only one side is set at a diagonal. All right, looking at the other side of the flowchart, we have four-sided figures that kind of grow like a family tree, where we just keep adding one layer of characteristic every time we drop down on this chart. And so the names of these quadrilaterals grow. They can be named more than one thing, and the further down the chart you go, the more names that these shapes can have. So this first four-sided figure, the orange quadrilateral, is a quadrilateral, but unlike the trapezoid that has only one pair of parallel sides, it has two pairs of parallel sides. So the top and bottom of the shape are also parallel, but in addition to the top and the bottom, the sides are parallel to each other. So this quadrilateral is known as a parallelogram. And it has two pairs of parallel sides. So you can see the difference here between this trapezoid and this parallelogram. The trapezoid, the top and the bottom are the only sides that are parallel. The parallelogram, we have the top and the bottom and both sides. But as we go down this chart, we can see that we have other shapes that have two sets of parallel sides. So let's look at this first shape in the third layer of our flowchart, the green shape. This is a parallelogram that follows the same rules as the one above it. It has two sets of parallel sides, so both the sides and the top and the bottom are parallel, just like the parallelogram, but it has one other rule that goes with it. This is a parallelogram that has 4 right angles. And we're going to draw those in by putting that square corner, that 90-degree corner, in the corner of the shapes. It's an indication to us that those are right angles. So you can see from our flow chart that the parallelogram, the coloring matches, the sides are both parallel on the top and bottom and the sides, but this has something that's different. It has the 4 right angles, and we call the shape a rectangle. So this shape is a special kind of parallelogram. In fact, we can call this shape not only a rectangle, but we can call it a parallelogram. We can also call it a quadrilateral because it matches the rules for all of those shapes. Right next door to the rectangle, we have another special kind of parallelogram. Just like the ones we've looked at before, this is a parallelogram that has a top and a bottom that are parallel, as well as the sides that are parallel. So it has 2 sets of parallel sides. But this one is different from the parallelogram above it because unlike the parallelogram above it, this shape has 4 sides of equal length. So it does not have right angles like the rectangle, but it does have this special rule that it follows where every side is the same length. And we're going to mark our sides with that dash mark to show that the sides are equal. And we call this a rhombus. So this rhombus can be classified as a parallelogram. It can also be classified as a quadrilateral because it matches the rules for all of those names. Rhombus, parallelogram, quadrilateral. All right, our final shape on this grid is this shape at the bottom. And it too follows the rules for parallelogram. It has the matching sets of parallel sides. And it has features of the 2 shapes above it as well. This parallelogram has 4 sides of equal length. So all 4 sides are the same length. And it follows the same rule as the rectangle, where it has 4 right or 90-degree angles. So let's draw those in. Now this is a shape that you learned when you were very young, but it is actually the most complicated of the quadrilaterals because it has to follow a lot of different rules in order to be called a square. It must have 4 sides. The 4 sides must be of equal length. They must meet at 4 right angles, and they must have 2 sets of parallel sides. So this shape can be called a square, a rhombus, a rectangle, a parallelogram, and a quadrilateral. It qualifies as all of the shapes leading up to quadrilateral in this chart. The only one it doesn't qualify to be is a trapezoid, because a trapezoid only has 1 set of parallel sides, while a parallelogram must have 2 sets of parallel sides. All right, so looking at your notes, you have on the next page a checkbox activity where you are identifying the characteristics of different quadrilaterals. Use your notes as you're going through those characteristics to make sure you get all the matches you need. And always remember that you can contact your teachers for help if you have any questions. See you guys later.